you all are having a blessed week. And I know it's getting cold here and we're building fires and trying to stay warm, and I hope you all are staying warm as well. Let's jump right into this video and let me show you what we made for week 3 of our no going to the grocery store. So let's go. We are starting out this week by making a deer stew in the crock pot. So I have 2 pounds of frozen venison, which I'm going to cube up and brown in a skillet and then put it into the crock pot. And we're having a crock pot dinner tonight with my grandmother in the nursing home because it's her 89th birthday. I pulled these potatoes out of the garden and I did wait too long, but we're going to use these. See, they're starting to sprout already and they're still in the ground. So we're just going to cut that bad part off. I'm not peeling these, and we're just going to rough chop these up and put them in the crock pot along with our meat. Now we are feeding a crowd of probably 12 people, and there is other food, but I want to make sure that I have plenty of this for everybody. We're also adding carrots, 1 really big onion, and I used a sweet Vidalia onion for this. Instead of using whole celery pieces, I'm just going to sprinkle in some of the dehydrated leaves because I think that they have a more concentrated flavor in them. So I'm just going to sprinkle some of those on top. I'm going to throw in some garlic. To this, we're adding beef broth, and I just need to make sure that there's enough liquid in here. I'm going to pour in just a little bit of red wine. Maybe a tablespoon or 2 of Worcestershire sauce, or however you say it. A tablespoon or so of balsamic vinegar, just a little bit to flavor it. A 1.5 cups of water. 1 jar of our tomatoes from the garden. I am going to put in probably a good teaspoon or so of Better Than bouillon, and that's the beef. And then finally, 1 can of tomato paste. Now I probably don't need the whole can, but you guys, I'm not portioning this out and freezing it, so the whole can, it goes. This is gonna be really tomatoey. All right. That'll start in there. And then we'll check for salt and pepper later, and then we'll add our seasonings after a bit. But let's get that on low and put the lid on. For the seasonings, I put in a bay leaf, a little bit of granulated sugar, and thyme, and salt and pepper. And you guys, that's it for the seasonings. A good hearty stew is always good with some homemade bread. So that's what we're doing here. We're gonna make some crusty bread to go along with this. So we're just putting in 3 cups of all-purpose flour. And you guys, I don't measure like I should, and it always works out just fine. 1 packet of yeast and 1 teaspoon of salt. Drop your dough hook in and then just stir that together. You're going to be adding 1.5 cups of warm water. This is somewhat of a tacky dough, so we're just putting it into a bowl. We're going to cover this and let it sit for probably 1 to 2 hours, or until it is at least the level of the rim here. And the time it takes will depend on how warm your house is. So the warmer you can make it, the quicker your rising will happen. This is what my dough, how big it's gotten, and it's been over 2 hours. It's pretty chilly in my kitchen right now. It's about 63 degrees in here, so it's not all that warm. But it's been over 2 hours, so we're just going to go ahead and get our oven preheated to 450 degrees. And we're going to put our cast iron Dutch oven in there while we heat it up. That way it's nice and hot when we go to dump our dough into the pot. I take cornmeal and sprinkle in the bottom of my pan to keep the bottom of my bread loaf from burning. Just adds a layer in between the pan and my bread. There's my bread. Right in there on the parchment paper. Make sure you use a glove or mitt or whatever to pick your lid back up, because remember, it's still really hot. Heavy, heavy. Half hour in the oven with the lid on and 15 minutes with it off. Before you go and slice into your bread, you need to let it sit and cool down for probably an hour, if not a little bit more, because it is still piping hot inside. And you want to let that cool down before you slice into it. So, crusty bread right out of the oven. Look at that. Dinner tonight is leftover stew from Graham's party last night, so we have a little bit of that left. And to go with that, we're taking some homemade bread. I've toasted it just slightly. I'm buttering it. I'm gonna sprinkle some garlic salt on it. Put some cheese on top of this and then put it back in the toaster oven, and then we'll have open-faced grilled cheese sandwiches to go along with our leftover soup. And you guys, here is dinner tonight. Just reheating up leftover soup and some open-faced grilled cheese sandwiches. In my bowl, I have mixed together some panko breadcrumbs, ranch seasoning like the dry mix, and then some Parmesan cheese. We are going to dredge our chicken in butter and then put it into this and then air fry it. We are air frying this at 375 degrees for approximately 18 to 20 minutes. All right, guys, and there you have a super simple, easy dinner, and that is just boxed macaroni and cheese that I threw a little bit of our own shredded cheese in there with it. And that is dinner. Carb heavy, because we had salads for lunch today. So that's dinner. Tonight we're using some of this frozen gnocchi that I made in one of my previous videos. And we're going to use some pesto that we have that is, I want to say from Aldi, I think. So I'm just going to whip this together. My rule of thumb is I always cook these until they float to the surface to know that they are cooked the whole way through. This meal literally comes together in less than 10 minutes. And we also put with it a piece of butter toast with garlic salt sprinkled on it, just for a little bit of flavor. And guys, that's dinner for a night when my husband's not here and it's just me and my daughter. That's supper. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye.